Arriving here on Friday afternoon at New York City Hall to win and testify before the City Council. Councilman Peter Vallone, who is an old friend, is having a hearing on the 9/11 trials being held here in New York. He's strongly opposed to it. I'm strongly opposed to it. He and I were two of the first to come out against these trials. It's an absolute disgrace that the president's even considering holding the 9/11 trials here in Lower Manhattan. So anyway, I'm looking forward to the testimony, looking forward to the hearing, and I think it's a great, great victory for democracy on this. So I'm going in now.
Today we are providing a forum finally for the people of New York City to be heard on this important issue. The decision to hold the terror trial here was made with no input from anyone involved in New York City. The administration made this decision with no input from our senators. Our senators at first acquiesced to this decision with no input from the mayor, from the police commissioner, or anyone else. Today we get to hear from the voices of those most affected. Some of our leaders have already spoken out. Police Commissioner Kelly has said that common sense would tell us that the threat level rises as a result of the trial being held in New York City. He also said that this would suck the oxygen from the police department. Former DA Morgenthau said that our state court system, which is the system that handles the actual criminals, would be shut down if this trial were held here. And he said it was absurd and I would get as far from Manhattan as I could. Alan Maureen Santora, good friends of mine, whose heroic firefighter son was killed by these terrorists on 9/11, said to me, please do everything you can to move the trial. We don't want the children of any other parents to be placed at risk. Today, New York City will finally be heard. He has been stalwart in his opposition to this from day one. Many, many other people have changed their positions on this, and we're happy to have their support. But he and I, and Chairperson Chin, have been out there from day one opposing this. I'm particularly happy to have Peter King with us because when he's here, I'm now back to the center. I'm not in the right of the City Hall. That's good. But Congressman, thank you for coming down today. We appreciate you making time from your busy schedule to be heard on this issue, and we look forward to your testimony. Congressman King.
Thank you very much, Councilman Vallone, and let me thank you for being such a strong voice on this issue from the start. I know it was lonely at times. I want to thank you very much for your leadership and your efforts. Chairwoman Chin, my only regret is that for the first year that you chair, you're going to have more auspicious witness, but I'll try. Thank you very much for the courtesy of having me here today. For someone who was born and raised in New York City and whose father was a member of the NYPD for over 30 years, it's really a great, great honor for me to be here today. And then when I walked into the chamber, I thought maybe I was in the wrong place and saw a Republican sitting in the speaker chair. Maybe I lived in Rockaway or something, but in any event, it is great to be here. And we're talking about a very important issue. And I am not going to go into great detail. I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have. I would just say that from the start, not in a partisan way, but the decision to have the trial here initially, I believe was one of the most irresponsible ever made by any administration. The reason I say that is, as Councilman Vallone points out, you're talking about an area which is so many landmarks, so many, you have City Hall, you have police headquarters, you have the municipal building, you have the Supreme Court, civil court, federal courts, you have the MCC, we can go through it all. Then you have people in Lower Manhattan, you have communities such as Chinatown. And to basically turn this area into an armed camp for the next 2, 3, 4 years without at any time anyone in the administration speaking to anyone in the city administration, I'm talking about anyone in the Washington administration talking to anyone in the city administration, anyone talking to Commissioner Kelly to even see what the security risks would be, what the costs would be. And I can tell you as the ranking member on the Homeland Security Committee, as a member of the Intelligence Committee, I get access to virtually all of the intelligence reports, and there's no place in the world, certainly nowhere place in the United States or the Western world, which is more of a terror target than the city of New York. And every analysis, every threat, ongoing threats, future threats, there's no doubt that New York City is the #1 target. As Councilman Vallone said, the police are stretched to the limit as it is. There's almost 1,000 police officers dedicated to fighting terrorism here in New York City. By example, the city of Chicago has 4 police officers working on counterterrorism. The city of New York is 1,000. So then to increase that threat geometrically and to expect the police to be able to handle it, to expect the people who live in the community to be able to handle it, without discussing with anyone, any of the community leaders, was extremely irresponsible. And it shows how far we've come, because when this was announced 3 months ago, virtually nobody objected. Few objected, most supported it, and others just kept quiet. Now, it's hard to find anyone who supports the concept of having a trial yet. And what's changed? Nothing has really changed. Nothing has changed at all. On the ground, the situation is exactly the same as it was. But I think people now start, especially as Commissioner Kelly, went public and detailed what the cost would be, what the threat would be, what the risk would be, and then also, quite frankly, the Christmas Day bombing in Detroit. It brought home to people that terrorism is real. And to be here in the shadow of Ground Zero, sometimes as close as we are, we can still forget how terrible that day was. What happened on Christmas Day was a reminder how easily it could happen again if we ever let our guard down. Now, I know that the recent reports that the President is talking about taking the trial out of New York. This is a very significant step in the right direction. In fact, the President is even addressing the issue as significant because he had been saying all along that this was the Attorney General's decision. But clearly, the White House and the President, people in the White House, now realize what a mistake this has been. One of the problems they're facing is, where does the trial go? Who else is going to take it? Now, I know that's not your concern today. That could be one of the reasons why there's going to be a delay in announcing the trial actually coming out. Now, my own views, which I know are not relevant to the hearing today, I believe that the trial should be a military tribunal at a military base. But from talking to members of Congress, I don't know of anyone who, after seeing what's happened here in New York, wants to say, yes, bring the trial to my district, bring the trial to my city, bring the trial to my county. And as Councilman Valona said, we're talking about something for one for several years, because if they are indicted, they are brought to here or wherever, then they have all discovery motions to be made, all of the motions to suppress, motions to discover, and this could go on, hearing after hearing, motion after motion, and then the trial itself. I think in the Saudi case, when he pleaded guilty, just the sentencing phase went on for over a year. So this could be endless, and during that entire time, the people in the community would be basically living in an armed camp. Now, I like to be an optimist. I wouldn't have thought back in November there was any hope of turning this around, because the administration, especially the Attorney General, was so dug in. But there's been political realities, there's been the mayor speaking out, there's been Commissioner Kelly speaking out, and obviously the leadership by such people as Councilman Shin, Councilman Valona, and others, that this now, I believe, in the next several weeks is the key moment. And that's why this hearing today is so important. I'll end on this, because yes, the President is talking about taking control of the issue. Yes, the Attorney General is saying that he now believes maybe the trial could be held somewhere else. But unless the pressure is kept on, unless they see in Washington that there is such a solid unanimity in opposition to these trials, coming from an area, quite frankly, which supported the President, that sends a real strong political signal, and unless that continues, there's a chance that this could still slip through the cracks. I don't think it'll happen, but I didn't think 3 months ago that we were going to see the type of turnaround we've seen now. And any of us who've been in politics know that a day, a week, or a month can be a lifetime in politics. So I just implore you to keep up the pressure. You have no idea how much easier it makes my job in Washington when I'm fighting this, because what I was hearing for the first several weeks and maybe 2 months was when so many local elected officials from New York are supporting it, why would anyone be against it? That's why this outpouring and this type of hearing and this type of demonstration by the community is so important. So with that, I would end my remarks. Thank you again for the opportunity to let me be here today. I think this is truly an historic moment, not just for the city and the state, but for the nation, because I think we are setting the path of how these cases are going to be tried and prosecuted over the next several years, and also it marks, I think, a defining moment in the war against terrorism, and people in communities standing as one and acknowledging this terrorism for people that it is. And with that, I thank you.
First time because it was Robertson's first hearing, but we can't do any more. Please, looking at a lot that said today. Please, no more